Okay. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear Vaishnavas. Jnanatimirandasya gyananjana shalakaya चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै नमः चैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं गुरुश्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा पदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखा हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका प्रणमामि कृष्ण प्रेम कृष्ण तन्या नाम्ने गौरतुषे नमः वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य नित्यानन्द श्रीता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे. So today's the day of Kartik. Uh, is alternatively called Kartik month, Damodar month, and devotees in this particular month, they offer specific prayers and take specific vows in order to please the Lord. Today, in today's Sunday feast class, the intention will be to understand what is so important about this particular month. What is the pastime that is eternally associated with this month? Why is this month so particularly dear to Krishna? And we would want to understand a little bit of the specific prayers that are offered to the Lord in this specific month. So, why is this month associated with this month? Well, at this particular time, Krishna was a young boy. Mother Yashoda was still breastfeeding Krishna, and Krishna was in Mother Yashoda's lap, and he was sucking milk. Mother Yashoda was just observing Krishna's lotus face, and for her, seeing Krishna's lotus face at that particular was the perfection of her existence. There was a sound, though, in the background that distracted her. She turned around, as many mothers experience. There may be children, but if there's something on the stove, there's something that needs to be attended. One has to just get up and go. Sometimes devotees ask, why is it that Mother Yashoda, who was attending to the Supreme Lord personally, why did she get up just to attend to else at home? In this instance, it was some milk that had been placed. Why would she get up? The answer to this question is actually important because, generally speaking, the activities that we have, we feel like take care of my child. I have certain duties in the kitchen, other responsibilities, say it, or other unified. Why this? It's not quite the case for Mother Yashoda. Whether the milk was boiling on the stove, whether she was personally feeding Krishna, whether she was cleaning the house, whether she was taking care of the millions of cows that Nanda Maharaj had, or any other services around the house, or the farm, or the village that they were in, Vrindavan, all of it was focused on pleasing Krishna. So on the stove, placed milk for his pleasure. That was why when she saw the milk boiling, she felt the need to put down and rush to work. The second reason was that in Vrindavan, everything is actually conscious. It is not like this world where the table, the chairs, the walls, the milk, these things are largely unconscious. In the world, everything is a living entity, and they all exist for the purpose of Krishna. So Mother Yashoda was the milk, who was actually living, intending to serve Krishna with its taste. When Mother noted that the milk was thin, kings will feel satisfied after drinking the milk from Mother Yashoda's breast. After he's satisfied, there will be no need for me to exist anymore. There's no need for my service here. Feeling slightly depressed in this way, the milk was overflowing from the container and trying to commit suicide. Mother Yashoda saw this. And for a Vaishnava who is intending to serve Krishna, the feelings of other Vaishnavas are paramount. It is about their service. Vaishnava exists to facilitate and serve other Vaishnavas. And as Vaishnava was feeling in this way, she instantly put down Krishna himself, giving priority to his servant, so that his servant could still continue to please Krishna himself. So this was Mother Yashoda's consciousness. So she was Damodar, Lord Damodar, in her lap or in her arms as she was feeding him. Hearing the boiling over on the stove, she placed it on the ground and she moved towards the milk. But what was Krishna's perspective of the whole situation? All he observed was he was happily sucking his mother's milk. And this is itself quite amazing, because the words used to describe the Lord are that he is complete, he is self-satisfied. There's nothing that he can give him, because he himself fulfills the desires of every living entity. That's the Supreme Lord who fulfills the desires of every living entity. Why would he need Mother Yashoda's breast? This is because Krishna is the provider of everything for everybody. He is completely self-satisfied and there's nothing he needs from anybody. But he is extremely hungry for the love of his devotees. And this mood of the Lord is very, very special. It is understood only by the devotees. And Krishna, he was drinking Mother Yashoda's form of her breast milk, and he was feeling extremely nourished and satisfied. He was extremely hungry for that particular love. And when Mother Yashoda plunked him on the ground and rushed to save that devotee in the form of milk, who was about to come aside, his life had no value. Krishna became angry. Krishna became angry, thinking, how dare Mother Yashoda leave me like this and go with something else? I was bad. They started crying. And he thought, I will show Mother Yashoda that such behavior is not acceptable. And he started taking a stick, and he started making pot after pot after pot of butter. Because Vrindavan is a place of cows. It's called Goloka. In fact, it is described that the cow's udders are so full that the rest of Vrindavan is always moist with the drops of milk that fall from their udder. So all of this milk is always by the Vrindavan. And Mother Yashoda has some very special cows that she uses to make very special milk, to extract very special Krishna. From this very milk, a whole variety of things like butter and yogurt, perfectly intended for Krishna's satisfaction. Mother Yashoda had carefully cultivated and brought together this milk, just so Krishna would stop going to other devotees of their own milk, their own yogurt, and their was not focused on any of that. He just saw his mother's house, and one can just it was Nanda Maharaj's house. Krishna he is the supreme Lord. He's the owner of everything, but he is in Nanda Maharaj's house, or Mother Yashoda's house. So in the house of his parents, who bind him with their love so much that he identifies that he's staying in his parents, identifies so much he feels dependent upon them. He just saw that in his parents' house there were pots of milk products, of in this case butter, lined up, and take a stick. He began to hit, and he must have hit them hard because the pots began to break. And taking the butter, smearing it on his face, monkeys nearby. The butters are kept in a secluded location, sometimes hanging on the roof, that other children, but even other creatures don't get them so easily. But Krishna was none of that. He broke open the pot and began to hand out the butter to the monkeys. That carefully, if anybody knows how much effort it takes to make butter, you normally have to take milk, and for approximately, in our calculations, 20 liters of milk is converted into yogurt. You put some water and you churn that milk back and forth for about 2 hours. From 20 liters of milk comes about 20 liters of chow or buttermilk. You extract the cream from this 20 liters, all you get a little bit more than 1 of butter, which of course comes to 1 kg. But it was that butter from so many liters of milk that had been carefully accumulated and collected and kept in those pots. And here was Krishna just taking a stick and just knocking it open and feeding it, of all people, to monkeys. But the monkeys in Vrindavan, not only are they always hungry, there as they are now, but they're also actually diverse. And Krishna is fine devotees with Mother Yashoda's love and butter. So these monkeys are Mother Yashoda. But Krishna, what he was doing was going to get him into trouble, and the way you can tell that somebody knows what they're doing is wrong is by the way they're reacting. Somebody who's always doing the right thing has no reason to fear. If one is driving along the street and one is looking for police cars all the time, it means that either one is accustomed or is doing something else that is not supposed to be done. But Krishna was standing there, and actually to get to the butter, he had kept a grinding mortar on the bottom, climbed onto that mortar, and he was accessing the butter, having that butter and monkeys and eating some of it himself. But he was always looking like this in great fear. Mother Yashoda, by this time, because it doesn't take long to attend to a pot of milk, but of course enough for Krishna, she had attended to the pot of milk, and then she came back and observed that Krishna was not there. And as any mother would, she began to look for Krishna. And the first thing she noticed were the buttery footprints of Krishna's lotus footprints heading from one of the house to another. And she knew that her son had done something naughty yet again. Internally, she actually smiled. Many mothers, many fathers, and many parents would be incredibly frustrated if a child did something like that. And very often we end up yelling at our children. But mother's mood was always one of putting Krishna first. It wasn't about the fact that her endeavors were apparently being squandered like this, which in this case, because Krishna was pleased with the butter, it was not squandered. But nonetheless, all the butter she had intended to feed Krishna was being, wasted like this. It was not that she became angry, but her first internal reaction was to be amused, because the antics of a small child who they don't always know what they're doing, or they're not always aware of the seriousness of certain actions, incredibly attractive and cute. And so she began to go to and in Vrindavan, Krishna's footprints, especially when they come on the sand outside Vrindavan, nobody touches them. Everybody walks around them. And it's through those footprints that the devotees know, because the land of Vrindavan, it observes Krishna's footprints. And at Vrindavan, they follow the prints to see where Krishna is going. Anyway, so Mother showed all of these buttery footprints, and she was tiptoeing carefully. But Krishna would be alerted to her coming. She wanted to catch him red-handed, and she didn't want him to just run away, sensing her presence. And she came very slowly, but Krishna, he was out of the corner of his eye, while he was giving butter to the monkeys, he was just looking for Mother Yashoda's presence. The moment out of the corner of his eye he spotted Mother Yashoda, he slid down. And one can imagine, if one has children, how they actually kind of clamber down from this mortar, because their hands, their body, extremely tender. And sliding down in a careful way, he came to the mortar, and then he ran, because he knew something wrong, and Mother Yashoda was going to fix him. Mother Yashoda, Krishna was running, she began to run after him also. And her mood was, see, if I don't discipline him, then he will turn out to be someone completely unruly in the future. He will not grow up to be a responsible, a civilized individual. If he starts causing difficulty for people in general, who will offer their daughters to him? How will he be? How will he be respected in society? How will he turn out to be a good person? Feeling this, she felt like she needed to correct him, and so she began to run hither and thither after Krishna. When Krishna was running hither and thither, he was running so fast that Mother Yashoda, and in her pursuit, because she was dressed in a heavy silk sari, she had ornaments all over her body, hair had been carefully pinned up with many flowers, and all those arrangements began to come unloose. Her clothes began to loosen up, her hand trembled, the flowers from her hair were falling down, and she began to fire. And she was running hither and thither. Amazingly, she caught him. She caught him not, sometimes you catch children like this, you catch them by the hand. So some acharyas say that she caught Krishna by the hand. But yet, because a child's wrist is very slender, if you catch a child by the wrist, there's a chance that you can hurt them on the wrist. And caught him that way. The other acharya, she caught this, and he began to manifest great symptoms of fear. Mother Yashoda caught him itself is astonishing, because Krishna is that individual we Pantas koti shatavatsara sampragamyo vayopi manaso munipungavana upyasti yat prapadasimnya vichintya tatve govindamadi purusham tamaham bhaja. That there are many yogic practitioners, the greatest of mystics, who perform their sadhana for lifetimes. They are never able to catch Krishna. They're never able to even glimpse tiniest the rays of light coming to his beautiful toenail. That is the position of the yogis. Krishna, who is impossible to be, it's impossible for atheists to perceive him. It is impossible for transcendentalists to see him without mercy. It is impossible for the devotees, even to the general class of devotees, to see and interact with Krishna in this way. That Supreme Lord Krishna, who can run faster than anybody else moving, who always stays ahead, who's faster than the minds of every conditioned living entity. That Supreme Lord was called by Mother Yashoda. In the Sri Ishopanishad, this is mentioned. He says, it is said that even though the Supreme Lord is still, he is fast, one moving. Neither the demigods nor the great sages can catch him. Even though he is fixed in one place, he is everywhere at the time, and nobody can surpass him. But Mother Yashoda surpassed. And this is a testament to the power of a devotee who has love for Krishna. Only they can actually really catch Krishna. So we also say, Krishna se tumhara, Krishna dite paro tumhara shakti ache. Ami to kangan, Krishna Krishna bole dai tava pache pache. So Mother Yashoda, it said of the Vaishnava that Krishna is yours. Krishna se tumhara. Krishna, O Vaishnava Thakur, Krishna is yours, and you can give him to anybody you like. So therefore the devotee prays like a beggar, and I have nothing. I beg you, please give Krishna to me. In one conversation, actually, His Grace Tribhuvanath Prabhu once said, Srila Prabhupada told the devotees, I have taken Krishna and I've captured him here in my heart. Now you please come and take. I've captured him here. Just please come and take. And for these of this caliber, Krishna is always within their control. So Mother Yashoda, she put her arm around Krishna's waist and surpassed that unsurpassable, undefeatable Lord. Krishna knew he was in trouble. Mother Kunti points this out in the first canto of Bhagavatam, and because she herself is astonished by this, she says, Gopyada de tvai krita gasidamatavat yate dasashra kalilanjana sambramaksham vaktram nineya bhaya bhavana yastitasya sama vimohayati rapi yad bibheti. Krishna is completely astonishing to me that you, of whom fear personified is afraid, were so afraid of Mother Yashoda that when she was running after you with a stick to punish you for your crime of breaking the pots, you were so afraid that you were crying. There were tears coming from your eyes. Your breath was in your throat. The three lumps under Krishna's neck, which is considered to be a mark of great auspiciousness, was trembling in fear. Krishna was so afraid. He was thinking, how can I get out of this situation? And as a child, his natural response was, if I cry, if I show that if Mother Yashoda will not hit me with her stick. And he was pretending to tear up, and his mascara, his kajal, underneath his eyes, which itself becomes beautiful by virtue of Krishna's beautiful lotus-like eyes. That mascara was becoming tinged with his lotus tears. It was running down his cheek, and his face became still more beautiful. When Krishna was, sometimes become so upset or so afraid that their breath begins to catch in their mouth, this is a very common occurrence. Mothers and parents in general are very careful to make sure that they don't frighten or even the child further. It's actually very bad for the child to feel so much fear or so much grief or feel so bad. So immediately they take the child and they pacify them. So Mother Yashoda put down the stick and she made sure that Krishna was no longer feeling that level of fear. But she wasn't going to let Krishna off so easily, because her intention was for Krishna to feel, to understand the gravity of the action that he had, and that he would never perform such an action again. So she was thinking, what is the best thing I can do? I don't want to hit him. I don't want to make him feel terrible, but I need to tell him I've done something bad. So the idea that Mother Yashoda came up with was to tie baby Krishna to a mortar. Now, if anybody knows one of these, they're very heavy, and they act effective posts to which you can bind a child. So it's a punishment, actually. If a child is restless, then to just discipline them, to make them sit in one. Sometimes in the West we say, you just go to your room, you sit down, you think about what you've done. This is Mother Yashoda's of saying, you just go to a corner and you think about what you've done. She took Mother Yashoda and she bound him to the grinding mortar. But here is where it's almost like a moment which is magnified in the eyes of the Vaishnavas, because this moment encapsulates the meaning of the Damodar month for all the Vaishnavas. In fact, the name Damodara, Dhamma means rope or thread, and Udhara means belly. So the Lord who was bound by his belly, or bound across his belly by a rope, that Lord is called Damodara. And so this is that defining moment of the pastime that is captured in the heart of us ever since it has happened, and in fact from time immemorial, because Krishna's pastimes eternally occur, if not in some universe. In so many times as the Lord's Damodar pastime occurred in the past, and so many millions and billions and countless times will the Lord's Damodar pastime occur in the future. This is what it means to say the Lord's pastimes, even in the material world, are eternal. Anyway, so Yashoda was thinking, bind my child. She began to take an ordinary bit of rope, and as she was going around Krishna's belly, she suddenly noticed, hey, the rope is a little short. Okay, you shrug it off. Maybe the rope is not big enough. Maybe I underestimated the length, or rather overestimated the length. So she took another bit of rope. This was short too. Let me try and tie them together. She tied them together. It is still short. And she took another bit of rope. That was short. She tied it up with the second two bits of rope. It was still short. Now, this is getting a little bit crazy. She made one rope after another, and she kept tying it up. And she kept putting it around Krishna. And it was all, and what, almost like how much rope she used and tied up to, and all of the rope, all of that rope put together fell short in Krishna's belly. You want to hear some short by examples, by two finger lengths, in fact. So whether she took a 1 meter rope, whether she took a rope, it still fell short exactly by 2 fingers. The significance of these 2 fingers we will talk about very soon. But Mother Yashoda was thinking, what's going on? And all of the gopis around Krishna also came. And what is this fun that's going on? Mother Yashoda was thinking, here's my child, here's this Krishna, and again, gopis were thinking something wonderful by Krishna again, and they were just smiling. But what exactly was happening? Krishna is known as the Supreme Lord. What this means is that he is a reservoir of all energy. He is a reservoir of all types of Shakti. Now, among Krishna's various energies, he has two types of energies, which is Ichcha Shakti and Kripa Shakti. Krishna's Shakti means the power of personal will. What does Krishna want to do? The moment Krishna wants anything, it is automatically and instantly fulfilled. This is what Ikti means. So Krishna cannot be bound by Yashoda. And so therefore, no matter how much rope Mother Yashoda was taking, it always felt. But here's the thing. When Krishna observed Mother Yashoda trying so hard, Yashoda was not out of ego. I will show him who's boss. I will show him to listen to me. Not Mother Yashoda's intention. Acting for Krishna's benefit, for Krishna's pleasure. And when Krishna saw that his mother was trying so hard, practically taking rope after rope after rope, profusely coming down her features, he felt like, I need to help my mother. And that is when Krishna's Kripa, his potency of his mercy, it came forth. Remember, we said Krishna has his Ichcha, which is the power of his desire and his will, and then Kripa Shakti, which is his mercy. Bhakti is the essence of Krishna's Kripa Shakti, and Bhakti alone invokes Krishna's Kripa Shakti. Among all of Krishna's energies, Krishna's Kripa Shakti is the most powerful of every one of his energies, because it can conquer every one of the other energies. Krishna did not want to be bound. He had no intention of being bound. He was not trying to have some fun before he was bound. He did not want to be bound because he wanted to play. But observed Mother Yashoda's sincere attempt to please him, not maybe like to just focus his laughter, but ultimately to act in such a way that would be for his benefit. And she was just trying. His kripa, his mercy, welled up and came with great force, and it overwhelmed his Ichcha Shakti. It was the predominance of the Kripa Shakti that made him think, okay, you want to bind me? And then this is the significance of the two fingers that was always falling short. Two fingers represents the devotee's endeavor, the second is Krishna's mercy. Where the devotee endeavors to please Krishna, Krishna will bridge and ensure, no matter what the apparent material outcome of a devotee's endeavor is, Krishna will be pleased, and he will ensure that the devotee's purpose is Krishna's mercy was evoked by Mother Yashoda's intense desire to act in a way to please him, to ensure that he was benefited. It won Krishna's heart, and really, this is the enduring memory of what devotees kept them in this Damodar month. The intention is, how can we similarly capture Krishna's heart? How can we act in such a way so that Krishna will be so pleased as to give and show to give us his own service, to give us opportunity to become a servant of the servant of the servant of his Vaishnavas. Let's go on with the passage a little bit more. So Mother Yashoda finished tying up Krishna, and she sighed. And Krishna, all this way, pretending to just cry. Oh, oh, oh. When Mother Yashoda went away, he instantly became very careful, and all of his friends are laughing, joking, and playing with them all. Balaram came, and Balaram is who is in the mood of a friend, but the other. So he has this protective of Krishna. The moment he saw Krishna bound up like this, he became angry. Who has tied you up, Krishna? Who does? Tell me who that is. Fix that. And Krishna was quiet for a while. But tell me who has done this. And Krishna was like, my Yashoda has done this. Silent. Not even he could override Mother Yashoda. And then Balaram began to say, why do you always call mischief? Why do you always do something that needs Mother Yashoda to fix you up in this way? Why don't you? And so he began to scold Krishna instead. This is the depth and the power of Mother's love. It is reality that there is a drop of sweat on Krishna's foot. Yashoda's desire to prevent Krishna's inconvenience, even for that one drop of perspiration, is so great that to prevent that one perspiration, she's to die in deaths. One can just imagine. I mean, for most parents, a bit of sweat on the child's face, be like, okay, they'll just wipe it off. But many times it's not a very big thing. The child falls down, you may feel alarmed, but it's not a very big thing for the mother. The child will get used to it. And what to speak of a drop of perspiration on the face, not on any like significant portion of the body. But Mother Yashoda's desire to prevent Krishna from feeling inconvenience. A single drop of perspiration is so that one drop of inconvenience, she's willing to die a million. Intensity, Mother Yashoda's love. In Damodar month is this love of Yashoda, and how the intensity of this love was able to capture when the devotees remember that Lord Damodara, who was bound across his belly by a rope, by not just itself, but by the ropes of Mother Yashoda. In this particular month, the devotees undertake vows and vratas towards Krishna the same way, to take inspiration for 8 Vaishnavas, both past and present, to follow in their footsteps, to cultivate a devotion that is as brilliantly shining as the devotees in Krishna's direct association. Because it's only that kind of love that can actually capture Krishna himself. The month is associated with Srimati. She is the personification of Krishna's acceptancy. She is the personification of Krishna's mercy. She is the personification. She is the topmost devotee. There is no way to attract Krishna's mercy to offer prayer to Srimati Radha, to invoke her blessing. It is for this reason, Prabhupada, on one lecture, he was explaining the worshipping Srimati Radha, that therefore in Vrindavan, more than chanting Krishna's name, the devotees will be chanting Radha's name. Usually, a greeting in Vrindavan is Radhe Radhe. Of course, when we say Hare Krishna, that's saying Radha Krishna. Radharani's name comes first because it's only by Srimati Radharani do we actually have the ability to best attract Krishna's mercy. On one Radhashtami, actually, Srila Prabhupada, in giving a class, he asked for this prayer to be offered the devotees to Srimati Radharani. He said, My Radharani, please kindly read to your Krishna. To your Krishna. Krishna is because once if you run me, then Krishna will accept me. But Krishna is yours. Please kindly recommend me to your. This was the prayer, that one sentence. My Radharani, please be kind upon me. Please kindly recommend me to your. Krishna is yours. In this particular Damodar month, devotees perform in order to attract Krishna's mercy. They actually form their vows and vratas to attract Srimati Radharani's mercy. This is why month of Damodar is particularly important for the Vaishnavas. Chair, please. So Srimati Radharani, how is Krishna worshipped in this particular month? In this month, one basically, the conversation where Prabhupada speaks about this, devotees ask Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, how do we worship this Damodar month starting? How do we worship this month? So this month, the recommendation is 20 you chant Hare Krishna. He said there's no sleep, no bodily activities. Krishna, you can do, and laughed. But the intention this particular day is not so much with this month, is not so much to do something different to what we do in the rest of the year, from the point of view of the type of devotional service, the worship, chanting Krishna's name, the study service of the Vaishnavas, if we that should recommend a place to conduct the Urja or Kartik. But if one does not go there, as in during the COVID time, then one can make Vrindavan at home. But to engage in these aspects of devotional service, it is not that one has to do something like completely different. Rather, one is of devotional service more serious and more intending those austerity in this particular month. The intention of satisfying Srimati Radharani and satisfying Krishna thereby. Is that a single austerity before this month is worth thousands and millions of its benefit than it is otherwise. So if one chants Krishna's names, one benefit million times more than it is otherwise. If we take sometimes months or days, Bhakti Janani, mothers of Bhakti, because mothers are very merciful. You do a little bit, you get and you get it. Is there rest of the they're just more in focus. These two, they take a number of to engage Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. I do apologize. There's a problem with my internet. But the last thing I think we were saying was what are the specific practices in this month that need to be followed? And we were saying that it is not something that is different qualitatively to what we do normally. As in our day to day life, we hear and chant about Krishna, we associate with the Vaishnavas, we study and hear about Krishna from Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of Vaishnavas. That's not qualitatively changed at this particular time. But this time is used to intensify that particular service. And if we are chanting, we chant more. There are many devotees who increase the number of rounds they chant and try and focus on the quality of their chanting in this particular month. Or there are particular services that the devotees vow to do in this particular month. And there are so many festivals that come up in this month. Govardhan Puja, Diwali. In fact, Diwali was the actual day that Damodar pastime occurred. So Govardhan Puja, Diwali, Prabhupada's Disappearance Day. There are so many festivals that occur during this particular month, and they're an opportunity to celebrate and to glorify Krishna in a congregational way at the time. The main recommendation actually is to hear and chant about Krishna in the association of the Vaishnavas. And number two, to offer a lamp. Generally, it is recommended that at this time the house is lit up with lamps. And one offers a lamp to Lord Damodar and glorifies him with the Damodar Ashtakam. The Damodar Ashtakam are a series of 8 verses which are found in the Padma Purana. These prayers are actually considered to be eternally perfect prayers. They're not composed by a living entity, but they manifested through the mouth of a great sage called Satyavrata Muni. Satyavrata Muni, he uttered these prayers, and these prayers, they shine and they enunciate, they articulate the highest level of devotional service. Nothing to do with what one wants or getting things done in this world or even renunciation. They have only to do with pleasing Krishna and pleasing Krishna in the most intimate of his pastimes in Vrindavan. These prayers emphasize not only the sweetness of Krishna's personal form, but also the extraordinary nature of Vrindavan, where even Krishna, the Supreme Lord himself, is conquered by the love of his devotees. These 8 verses, they depict the intense eagerness of the devotee to attain Krishna's mercy. And they, at the very end, offer obeisances unto Srimati Radharani, the topmost devotee of the Lord, the personification of Krishna's pleasure potency, and the highest of all devotees. Because by pleasing her, by offering obeisances unto her, Krishna can be very easily achieved at this particular time. There are hundreds and thousands of Vaishnavas, millions past and present, who have taken this month as an opportunity to attain Krishna. Because to attain Krishna, just think about the kind of love that Mother Yashoda had. To prevent Krishna from feeling the inconvenience of a single drop of perspiration, Mother Yashoda is willing to die 1,000,000 times. And this is the level of love it actually takes to conquer Krishna's heart. And devotees who are moving in line with these eternal residents of Vrindavan, they cannot obtain this level of intensity. But that is the endeavor, that they move in this direction and develop that intense longing to have this kind of love for Krishna. But devotees who are this serious to attain even a glimpse of that kind of love, they become very, very serious during these times of Kartik, of Janmashtami, and of other important days associated with the Lord. And they give themselves with vows to hear and chant intensely in the association of Vaishnavas at this particular time. Srimati Radharani is extremely merciful, because most other days, they like important days like Vaishnava's appearance, disappearance days, or important times, they last 1 month. But Kartik is one of the two, including the Purushottam month. But the Purushottam month only comes once every 4 years. The Kartik month comes each year. And each year, the full month, there's incredible mercy on offer. And for the Vaishnavas who are intensely eager to attain even a glimpse of the love that Mother Yashoda has, this is an opportunity to basically grab all that they can get, all that we can get in order to attain Krishna's lotus feet. This is the significance of Kartik. So, in summary, I'm not sure how much of this was transmitted, given the problem with my internet, and I sincerely beg the forgiveness of Vaishnavas if any inconvenience or disturbance has been experienced. But let's just summarize the class in the 3-4 minutes that we have left. The first point is the enduring memory of this Damodar month is the image of Mother Yashoda binding Krishna with the rope, not just a physical rope, but with the rope of her love. Of how the gap of two fingers was bridged by her sincere attempt in Krishna, which invoked Krishna's Kripa Shakti and his mercy and allowed her to perform her service, her intended service for Krishna's benefit and pleasure. That is the enduring memory of this month. And the devotees, they are also trying to attain something of this kind of love so that they can also serve Krishna with this intensity. To attain this kind of love, the best way to attain this kind of love is to serve Srimati Radharani, and she is the deity of the Kartik month. Srimati Radharani is personally pleased one undertakes certain vows to hear and chant the association of Vaishnavas, to decorate the home with lamps and to offer a lamp every day to the Lord, and finally, to worship the Lord with the Damodar prayers. If one undertakes his Ujja Vrata or Kartika Vrata or Damodar Vrata to please Srimati Radharani and Krishna at this time, that is considered to be supremely auspicious. Because this is our focus. Other things take a backdrop. Anything that we might want to do or like outside is minimized. Bodily demands are minimized to the minimum that we need to undertake. And the focus becomes hearing and chanting about Krishna in the association of Vaishnavas. I thank you all for giving this opportunity to have this time with all of you. I could not see you personally, but I feel your. I thank you for your association. Shri Shri Radha Damodar ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Gopinath ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Radha Gopinath Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thy God Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.
Gopinath Radha, Gopinath Radhe, Radha Gopinath Radha. Radhe Kiva Jayo Jayo Gaurachandra Aroti Kasobhaya Kiva Jayo Jaya Gaurachandra Aroti Kasobhaya Jaya Gaurachandra Aroti Kasobhaya Jahana vitata vani Jagamanalo bha Jahana vitata vani Jagamanalo bha Jahana vitata vani Jagamanalo bhaja Kiva dakhini taicha Vame ghara gadhai